You have the part where Mutahar runs outside with a gun?
I don't, but
I'm like, dude, these people are insane. Boogie's not even the craziest one in that room still. There's a point
Is that even true? Did Mutahar actually run outside with a gun in one of these videos? Like, recklessly?
where Mutahar goes, oh shit, is someone stealing my car? And he runs outside with a gun. And then he comes in 30 seconds later and goes, oh no, it's chill, it's just my brother.
Oh my
like,
god.
This pseudo badass weird fucking shtick he's doing is not it. And frankly, he's so mean-spirited and nasty, and he has this weird thing where he needs to act like.
But I will say it's incredibly ironic that Ethan Klein, out of all people, is saying any of these critiques to Mutahar. I'm sure they're all true. I wouldn't call Mutahar mean-spirited. I wouldn't even call him nasty, but there is sort of like this underlying kind of narcissism that Mutahar does exhibit, where he does kind of have like a need to act cool. Like, you could go back and you can watch some of Mutahar's videos where he'll talk about a person speeding, or talk about like some software-related or tech-related stuff, and he'll be like, oh, see, it takes real skill to take your car on a track, and then he shows off how he has like a Mustang or like a GTR or something, blah, 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 blah. Or at some point, it was rumored that he had a GTR. I forget. But essentially, yeah, Mutahar does kind of have this tendency to, like, you know, brag and kind of be kind of, yeah, like a little bit, well, what's the word? It's not bragacious, is it? But yeah, he does have a tendency to, like, be a lot bolder than what he really needs to be. He tries to play it off, but it's really not subtle. And I think the biggest example of that is whenever he, like, talks about how much money he has. Like, oh, I'll pay for all of these people's, like, you know, lawsuits. Or I'll pay for all of these people because money isn't an issue for me. I can just give money away. YouTube isn't a main job for me, and I make a lot of money through it regardless. Blah, 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 blah. But yes, Mutahar does have this, like, need to act cool.
Cool, and that he's so successful and rich. He goes,
yeah.
He tells Boogie, dude, why don't you upload more? I upload every day, and YouTube's not even my job. I was like, shut the fuck up, bro. I think he thinks his real job is being a day trader. I might be wrong about that, but I mean, that's pretty funny. But like, yes, it is. Shut up, bro. I'm uploading every day. Ugh, I really got turned off by Mutahar in that one, man. Really did.
So Mutahar is a poser, and he lies about having a job outside of YouTube. Those are pretty heavy accusations. But who has the time to watch through over a decade of videos and streams to check if he's telling a consistent story? I certainly don't, but I know a much faster way of achieving the same end result with only a few hours of effort. I can just...
I'm ashamed to admit that I've watched, like, I want to say that I've watched at least 80% of Mutahar's videos. I'm ashamed to admit. And not in the sense that I watched them just to watch them, that I watched them like I got used to watching Mutahar videos every single day years ago. So it kind of became a consistent pattern where I would like put them on to go to bed. So I haven't like really engaged with them, but I did watch them to at least go to bed, and I'm pretty sure I've watched like most of his content.
Search all of his video transcripts at once for certain keywords and timeline the claims he's made.
I play video games and scratch my balls most days when I'm not working. I wake up, I scratch my balls, I do my job, and then I fucking play some video games. I scratch
There's
my
no way. There's no way. There's no way you're being legit about that. You're using Mutahar's videos to help you with a cybersecurity college assignment. I don't believe that. There's no way. Well, the thing is, like, when it comes to cybersecurity, a lot of the stuff that Mutahar talks about in his videos doesn't really require a lot of expertise. It is genuinely stuff that you could like cross-reference or research about, utilizing like, you know, tools to get that information. And Mutahar has referenced utilizing like research tools to help him get information a lot quicker than most people are typically inclined to do. That is something he's brought up before. So I'm not entirely against the idea that perhaps Mutahar has essentially like quickly researched a topic that he was going to talk about, while having a little bit of know-how in, like, you know, cyber engineering or something like that, and then just posturing his way through a video, which is criticism that he's been getting for years, not just for, like, this video, not just for the last year. It's stuff that people have been saying about Mutahar and been questioning about him for, like, at least the last 2 to 3 years, from what I recall. And it's always, like, also never sat right with me how Mutahar makes videos about just about any topic that he feels so inclined to make a video on, right? About just about anything. And talks about it as if he's like had knowledge and experience about it for years. He never once says, I'm not an expert on this, and unless it's like into something very, very specific, like legal issues. He never once stops to say, I'm not an expert, I don't know. He usually just postures all the way through, which has always rubbed me the wrong way, but hey, I didn't question it because I don't really care. The problem with people like Mutahar is that they have this like mask of authority, this mask of credibility, because they're popular YouTubers that have never been like debunked or properly been taken down. So people are going to watch anything they say and treat it as gospel. If you have the confidence and if you have a little bit of know-how, and as long as you can posture that know-how, as long as you have a platform on YouTube, most people will probably take you with a you know, with a level of credibility that they typically wouldn't give others. It's really just that easy. That's why commentary is such a low bar for entry.
I play around with Linux, some video games, and that's my life, dude.
Before we get into it, isn't this stalking? Isn't this a violation of privacy? No. I am going by information Mutahar has made public through pieces of media he's voluntarily published on his YouTube channel, or public media appearances he has consented to. I'm also using information from a video that shows his LinkedIn page, which is something he seems to be cool with. He can do whatever he wants in his private life, but if he's claiming to be a doctor or an engineer to make his perspectives more valuable to an audience, validating the truthfulness of these claims about his life become a matter of public interest.
Absolutely, because if you posture about everything with the intent to give advice to people, with the intent of informing people, people should have a level of interest as to what exactly or how much the person actually knows about the topic that they're being fed info for.
History Channel was receiving undisclosed funds.
I should rephrase that. It would be in the best interest of the public to know just how credible somebody is when they're consuming advice or information from that authority figure, so to speak.
From a foreign state, publishing that information would be
also good morning, good afternoon, everybody who's tuning in. Thank you very much for being here.
In the public interest, even if that knowledge was gained through violations of privacy. Violating someone's privacy to humiliate them by exposing their porn browsing habits would not be in the public interest. But I haven't gone there, and I don't need to. I also completely disavow and denounce any kind of harassment or actual stalking behavior. Based on my findings, Mutahar has consistently claimed that YouTube isn't his job.
Hey, YouTube isn't my job. Thank God my job isn't YouTube.
YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job. YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job.
I use YouTube as a hobby. This is not a job for me, okay?
He works a regular 9 to 5.
Like, I work a regular job every day. I go to my office, I work, I come home, I cut together the video that I recorded the night, or 2 nights or whatever before, and I post that on the internet. It is a therapeutic, fun thing for me.
So what is that job? If you ask Mutahar's fans, they think he's a cybersecurity expert, an IT professional, a video editor. Ethan said day trader. There seems to be an awful lot of uncertainty about this definitely real job. That
it also kind of interests me how none of his friends have ever talked about what type of job he has either. Nobody has ever talked about what specific job this guy has been involved with, or what type of work he's been seen doing in a real life situation.
Mutahar has. Mutahar's also insisted throughout his career that he is an engineer.
I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm a goddamn engineer. I'm an engineer.
But there's multiple types of engineers, so what kind of engineer is he?
I'm a fucking computer engineer. I'm a computer engineer. Dude, I'm a fucking computer engineer.
I'm a YouTuber. Why are you asking me?
And I'm just like a computer engineer by default.
I'm a fucking computer engineer. And
I'm a fucking computer engineer.
In the United States, people throw around the word engineer like candy. But in Canada, it's a bit more protected, especially in Ontario where Mutahar lives. Now, I do want to give the disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer or a Canadian. I'm just a guy who looks stuff up online, and based on what I've read, it's actually illegal to call yourself an engineer if you are not a licensed engineer. The Ontario Engineering Regulatory Body, Professional Engineers Ontario, claims to take offense to even titles like software engineer being used instead of software developer, but they do make an exception for terms like train engineer, broadcast engineer.
I'm not sure. I did have a little bit of a gripe with this part of the video. I'm not sure how important this was to bring up, but I guess he'll lay it out a little bit more. At this point, I was watching it a little bit through somebody streaming it yesterday. I was watching it a bit through Dickers, but I was like, nah, I want to have it all. I want to ingest the information myself, only by myself. I don't want to be spoiled.
Or sound engineer, which are not professional engineers in the same way that a computer engineer.
No shit. As soon as I became a full-time student and got a part-time job, I got skeptical of Mutahar having the time of being a daily uploader and still have a 9 to 5. Yeah. People who upload, unironically, doing commentary YouTube is actually extremely time consuming if you're like, consistent in your research. Uh Being a commentary YouTuber does require a decent amount of effort. It's not the most like, like laborious thing in the world where you have to like sink in an insane amount of time, but it's not also like one of the easiest hobbies in the world to do either. If you want to become a commentary YouTuber that is at least, self-respecting and cares about the topics that you talk about and offers a little bit of research when it comes to said, topics, and you're not like spewing misinformation like most people typically do, then you would know that it actually does take a good amount of time invested to make at least somewhat well-informed videos. If you rush to make a video, you're either extremely qualified to talk about the situation that you're talking about because you have everything down to like the back of your hand, or you don't care about the information that's available for said video. So it always has conflicted me as just a normal individual that someone like Mutahar, who claims to be an engineer of some sorts, it's always like been a concern that this guy has the time to make daily videos about topics that realistically would require an hour to 2 hours of research to properly commentate about, and then sit on that's at least 2 to 4 hours of work. And if you're working like any sort of software job where your hours are typically going to be like anywhere between 6 hours to like 10 hours a day, unless this guy has like the I don't know, the perseverance of a fucking like horse or whatever, I don't see how he's making videos daily. I'd be tired. I'd be exhausted. And keep in mind, Mutahar has also talked about having like a chronic sleeping issue for years. I just don't see how he does it. I just don't see how he genuinely, balances both at the same time. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Or a civil engineer would be. Calling yourself a computer engineer.
You learn that commentators aren't normal people? Of course not. People that do upload, that daily upload, are essentially utilizing commentary channels as a 9 to 5. They are gathering information, or they hire people to do it for them. They're gathering information, talking about information, like doing takes for several hours a day, uploading a video that gets them sometimes thousands of dollars depending on the views. So it's worth it. It's worth it for the minimum amount of labor that you actually have to do for a video. But yeah, in order to do it consistently over and over and over again on topics that sometimes you don't even enjoy or care to talk about, yeah, it requires a level, a certain obsession. That's why most people that do YouTube, I would argue, probably have either a form of addiction, a form of obsession, or do drugs.
To a public audience is like saying that you're a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer. You might as well call yourself a doctor or a therapist. For Mutahar to be a licensed computer engineer, for him to be able to legally call himself a computer engineer or an engineer in general, he would need a 4-year degree, 4 years of training, and to pass the National Professional Practice Exam. If he had just a degree, then he could only call himself a computer engineer graduate. This is where things become a little bit difficult, because Mutahar is apparently not just a computer engineer.
I'm a video engineer now. I think I know how this shit fucking works.
Speaking out of an engineer, like if I wasn't a computer science engineer, I wouldn't speak about Elon being an idiot. But as an engineer, yeah, I'm gonna call him a fucking idiot because he does do idiotic statements.
This is why, as a cybersecurity engineer,
A computer engineer is very much a real thing. But a video engineer or a broadcast engineer isn't a real professional engineer. While computer science graduates often work in software development, sometimes called software engineering, computer science isn't an engineering discipline. So computer science engineer doesn't really make sense. Cybersecurity engineer is once again using the word engineer as just a job title. Mutahar clearly wants the prestige of being perceived as an engineer, given that he's been calling himself an engineer for the past 10 years. And he uses this title to make himself more authoritative.
but I'm an engineer. I know how this stuff is going, so I'm not even speaking out of pocket right
I mean, the real question here is... No, never mind. It's just answered. It literally just got answered for me. And in those 3 seconds, it got answered for me. I was literally about to say, is he doing it as a definitive attempt to make himself sound as an authority figure, or is he doing it because he doesn't want to reveal his actual job position? He doesn't want to reveal what his actual occupation is. Because I'll use sometimes interchangeable titles when I'm talking to somebody in real life about what it is that I do as a job. Like, oh yeah, I'm a product salesperson, rather than saying that I'm a car salesperson. if I want to like posture a little bit and not really give up what I'm doing. If I'm like, for example, if I'm talking to find shit, depending on if they're like ultra liberal, I'm not gonna tell them that I'm like, you know, a car salesman, because liberal baddies hate hate car salesmen. But no, in this case, he's definitely doing it as a, you know, he's definitely doing it to posture and authority and like a sense of authority, so that people take him more seriously.
Here, okay? If you want to disagree with me, feel free, but you're actually wrong. As somebody who is a computer, you know, engineer, somebody who understands computer
Tell me
code,
I'm
for
wrong,
instance,
Calor Vetla. Tell me I'm wrong.
hearing Elon talk
Tell me I'm
about
wrong.
computers and anything code related is actually mind-bogglingly stupid.
It's not clear what kind of an engineer he is. So, what education does he have?
Like, it's a really good explanation of why, like, I picked engineering as, like, the road to go down when I was studying. I'm like,
So, he would have an engineering degree.
I went to university for computer sciences, and that's it.
education background, asking because a lot of CS knowledge. Yeah, well, I did computer engineering when I fucking went to college. That's what I did.
It's a computer science degree.
I thought when I got into university for a while, and I dropped out like a semester in because I was like, okay, no.
Oh, he dropped out after a semester.
Like, I'm a dropout myself. I've never finished university, but I'm not going to dog on like school. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to learn to be valuable. Yeah, if you're going to be an engineer, if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, if you're going to be in the STEM field, you need to go to university. Okay?
You need to go to university to be an engineer, but Mutahar is a dropout. He has no degree.
Were you a computer science major? Yeah, that's what I went to for college for a little bit. Dropped out of it. You know. I feel like there's a weird misconception. People think I'm like some fucking crazy degree holder. It's like, no. No, I would have been way more in fucking university debt if I went down that fucking route.
You're saying that this part blew your mind, but I'm actually not surprised. You put a person like Mutahar in a very comfortable position where they are never they're never in any real drama. They never really have to answer for anything. They never really have to be concerned about being exposed for anything or being scrutinized. Like, Nikandros' level of like scrutinization here is like top tier. I'm pretty sure that you could go back to just about anybody who's been live streaming for a while or doing YouTube for a while, and you can find people's, like, you know, contradictions pile up time over time over time over time. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he said that while maintaining a job title that is akin to being an engineer or interchangeable, not necessarily that being the case. I guess we'll find out more. And just didn't bother to, like, you know, watch his tracks or cover his tracks. This is something that I'm personally, you know, careful about when it comes to YouTube stuff, because, like, for example, I'll say what job titles I've held. I'll say how long I've held them for, but I'll never say like the company that I worked for, just in case it comes back to me and, like, you know, somebody wants to dox me or like somehow finds my triangulates my position. Just out of fear, right? Just because I'm incredibly paranoid. And I'm always sure to, like, not mention a particular brand that I've worked for or particular hospitals that I've been to, right? Stuff like that. I'm careful about stuff like that. I guess Mutahar just didn't really care to think that, like, you know, that far ahead, because he's just, like, too comfortable with the position that he's in terms of YouTube status.
I sure wonder why people might have that impression.
I own all three of you.
Is it bad if you don't get a STEM degree? Look, I'm gonna sound biased as fuck, but STEM degrees all the way. I'm gonna sound biased because, you know, as an engineer, like, you know, you want to get the degree that's gonna get you a job. You know, a good job. Not saying other degrees can't, but, like,
You know, I never really thought of myself.
You think that's why he's deathly afraid of being put in drama so people wouldn't piece this together? It's a possibility. It's more than likely a possibility. I mean, look, Mutahar's no stranger to the internet. Here's the thing. Mutahar postures a lot, but he's not a complete dumbass. Mutahar has been, like, a subject of A-log in certain parts of the internet for quite a while, and I'm sure he's aware of that. I'm sure that, like, a couple of us are aware of that as well. I've seen people go after Mutahar in certain, like, parts of the internet. Not Kiwi Farms, to be specific. And heavily scrutinize what the guy's about. I mean, I've always been, like, sort of concerned that some of those people were just arranged, but over time it, like, started adding up and making more sense. Some of you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Nikandros might know a little bit more. It's going to be in places of, like, Reddit, parts of Twitter, parts of like, you know, other forums talking about like technology related stuff in regards to Mutahar. Back during the whole, do you guys remember the takedown guy? I always like referencing him when it comes to like deep web stuff. But there was this YouTuber called the Takedown Guy. I remember he called out Mutahar way back in the day, and there was like certain communities in regards to, there were certain communities that were interested in like the whole deep web browsing niche that also had like criticisms of Mutahar. Mutahar racked up a lot of critique, and I'm sure him being as like, you know, internet savvy as he is, going into like these forums, doing research on these like niche parts of the internet, he probably ran into a few people like coming after him from time to time, right? So it's probably always been in the back of Mutahar's mind that there are people out to like uncover as much discrepancies in regards to him as possible. So yeah, there's probably a very real fear that over time he didn't want all of that coming back to like pile up and essentially screw him over. So yeah, that's probably a reason as to why he was like deathly afraid of drama. It's definitely a possibility. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Seems in line.
An individual who, I mean, I express talents in film production
Takedown man, don't care. Shut up. You know what I meant.
and everything, and you know, I never really threw myself into it. I did stuff on the side even before YouTube as well. But this really changed me, and it made me more passionate in the whole, you know, video production side too. So now that is my field of choice. Now I work as a video editor. For those of you who don't know what I do outside of YouTube, I do that. I work as a video editor for my own post stuff.
All the programming, cybersecurity, penetration testing work he talks about early on are jobs he supposedly did before he did YouTube, and he didn't like doing it.
Before this, I was a depressed individual, and I was going to go through a certain set path in my career and just go through that and move on, right? And there was a point where I really didn't think there was much else. I was going to go through the motions and everything. And then, you know, to cut down on the stress, and I still have stress issues nowadays, but, you know, back then I had a crazy amount of depression and stress issues. And so to counteract that, I decided, you know...
I like to say that I'm clinically depressed because I have all the symptoms for it. I'm not diagnosed, and I don't think I actually have depression. I'm probably just a lazy, dumb fuck that sleeps too much and doesn't, like, you know, get enough exercise as I typically should. I mean, I exercise a lot, just not in healthy ways, and doesn't eat, like, you know, good food. I'm willing to bet that my situation is a lot less worse than Mutahar's, and I can't even bring myself to like make videos every single day the way that Mutahar does, right? So there must be something going on here. Either Mutahar, like, again, must have like the perseverance of a fucking horse, or there's something not quite like honest or transparent about his, you know, background life.
You know, why not do YouTube? And so, you know, one night I went onto the Google Create account and did it, and, you know, and then we started making videos. I told you guys, I'm a guy who used to code bank applications, really boring shit. Now I'm a dude who cuts stuff together.
Mutahar was never a real engineer, but he's been calling himself one for a decade because of tech jobs he supposedly had before 2013.
Yeah, I figured that this would be the case. He's just mislabeling and feigning. He's just using certain career paths interchangeably.
Or 2012.
Because I never tell people like what I do. Like, I never tell people anything, right? Like, I don't even tell people I'm not an engineer. I haven't been one for like years, like fucking for eons at this point, right? Like in internet time.
What he calls him being an...
I'm not even surprised that he was honest about this in a position where like he's being where he's like in a very... Who is he talking to? I'm not even surprised that he would admit that in front of people that he would deem as respectable. Chubby Imu Umpafil. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he would even admit that, so that these people don't have like a false assumption of him. So I'm okay. It is more than likely that his friends knew that Mutahar probably wasn't actually an engineer, and it was like an open secret that was kept surprisingly well up until now.
I never tell people like what I do. Like, I never tell people anything, right? Like, I don't even tell people.
Yeah. I agree. It's more than likely that Mutahar had a very related job and just over-exaggerated what he actually did, what he actually was, what his titles were, and then, you know, utilize that as a front every single time he could to try to, like, you know, feign authority, feign credibility.
I'm not an engineer. I haven't been one for like years, like fucking for eons at this point, right? Like in internet time.
What he calls him being an engineer is something he did for only a little bit.
I can imagine, like, for families, like, I mean, just an Indian family alone, it's like, son, you've got 3 choices for what you're doing, all right? You got 3 character classes: doctor, engineer, or maybe a lawyer.
Imagine if you worked as a mechanic in high school, and 10 years after quitting that job, you're still introducing yourself as a mechanical engineer. From 2015 to 2020, he claimed to primarily work as a video editor.
That's because I'm a fucking editor in real life anyways, so... Ever since I became a video editor, and that was my job in life, I work as a video editor. You know, that's my job.
By trade, what I do for a living is video editing.
I wasn't always a fucking video editor.
Am I a fucking passionate video editor? Do I like my job? Yes, I do. My job is video editing. I'm a video editor by trade.
No, I'm video editor. You know, that's how I pay for the strip club and the home.
And initially called himself a video engineer.
I'm a video engineer now. I think I know how this shit fucking works.
It's not a real engineering job, but he was still calling himself an engineer. In 2019, he conflated being a video engineer with being a computer engineer.
I'm a computer engineer, so I really computer, a video engineer, whatever you want to call it. I'm one of those people, so...
Again, totally different qualifications. One is an actual professional engineer, the other is a job title. In 2020, Mutahar claimed to be an exceptionally successful day trader.
Now, for those of you who don't know, one of my side hobbies turned basic, general second profession of mine is day trading, swing trading, whatever you want to call it. I like to sit in the mornings, sip my coffee, go on the NASDAQ, see what I can look pre-market, buy, sell, and be done by, 11 or something, and call it a day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's something that I've been doing for almost a year, give a couple months, and it's definitely a very, it's a fun part of my lifestyle. I'm a very mathy guy. I do a lot of calculations in my head. I lose money, but I generally have an 80-85% success rate, and that's just the nature.
Which is fucking insane, by the way. Which is insane. I don't know if he's lying about that too, right? This is one of those situations as was referenced earlier by Ethan Klein, where Mutahar tries his damn hardest to be cool. Because, how the fuck do you have an 80-85% success rate in day trading? In stock trading in general? Most people lose. This guy must be some fucking super savvy, computer mastermind with all sorts of AI tools helping him trade like nobody's fucking business. How do you have that high of a success rate?
Nature of this stuff.
In 2021,
yeah, let's listen back. Let's listen back. I'm curious. I need to know that I heard that correctly. 80-85% is insane.
Successful day trader.
Now, for those of you who don't know, one of my side hobbies turned basic, general second profession of mine is day trading, swing trading, whatever you want to call it. I like to sit in the mornings, sip my coffee, go on the NASDAQ, see what I can look pre-market, buy, sell, and be done by, 11 or something, and call it a day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's something that I've been doing for almost a year, give a couple months, and it's definitely a very, it's a fun part of my lifestyle. I'm a very mathy guy. I do a lot of calculations in my head. I lose money, but I generally have an 80-85% success rate, and that's just the nature of this stuff.
In 2021, he claimed his job was trading and investing.
My job right now, I just sit around and trade and invest.
80-85% success rate is insane. It's insane. I tried it in the past. I lost a lot of money, right? Who said I'm pretty sure most I'm pretty sure most fucking young adults have tried it thinking that they were gonna make it big. Just one big pump and they'll be there only to get fucking liquidated, all right? I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That's what my job is.
But he was still an engineer or a computer engineer. Apparently his dad calls him an engineer who knows computers.
I'm sitting in the room, it's when it comes to computers, do you talk about it with my son? Do you act like an intelligent person? Because my son's a fucking engineer, okay? If I'm wrong about computers, I'm gonna believe what my son says because he's the fucking engineer, not a doctor. Fucking insane.
This is another one of those moments where Mutahar is trying very desperately to act cool.
Dude.
But he also just sits at home and invests money.
I invest, that's my job now. I just sort of sit home and invest money.
Now, if I was ashamed of only being a YouTuber, that is the job I'd be claiming to have. When asked by guests on his podcast about his computer work, he claimed it's only a hobby now.
I don't know how much you want to delve into this, but You do. So do you do computer stuff on the side, or that's your main thing?
I literally just invest money. Like, I buy property and I invest, and that's all I do now.
You're at that point now. You're that big of a baller, Buddha.
No, I wouldn't say it's like baller. It's just like
Do you do programming? I don't know why that took me 3 different ways to ask that.
I do it it's more of a hobbyist thing now for me personally. I'm trying to like work around with consoles at this point, like reverse engineer shit that I have.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's what I'm into now. It's just like it all has become like a hobbyist thing for me at this point. Like, just like for me, I look at it, it's like woodworking and shit. Like those woodworking channels. I'm like, oh, this is just like me sitting down for 2 hours, like killing time and like working on a long form project, but not something that I.
Yeah. I'm sure people noticed it at the time. But all of this is literally him just lying through his fucking teeth because he doesn't have a legitimate answer. I'm willing to say that. Nikandros probably isn't willing to say that in this video, right? Because, you know, he doesn't want to defame the guy or, like, you know, be caught on anything. Not that it would be defamatory because it would just be a matter of opinion. But in this case, it's straight, like he's literally just fucking lying. Like, this is the mannerisms of a person that doesn't really know what to say because they don't have something that they can say without being credential checked, which is very common in situations like, you know, with this sphere. I'm a computer engineer. I go to the office and I code front end security. I have code in front end and back end security, so like to make sure that people don't get fucking raped, and then there's like no backdoors that people can get into to like steal data, blah 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 blah. Because immediately in a situation like this, a question that Destiny would ask, as I'm pretty sure has been the case multiple times in the past, is, let's see your credentials. What are your credentials?
Would ever care to ever be bothering doing again, even as a career path. It's just too stressful.
Sure.
It's like boring. Well, compared to anything that we do now, you know?
In 2023, he's calling himself an engineer a lot, just like before. But in March, he claims he just invests money again.
Were you into business before doing YouTube? No. After, like, you know, I worked, and then it's pretty much like my job. Like, I worked, and then now I have enough money to, like, you know, buy property and, like, invest, and that's pretty much what I do.
In August, he gave the impression he still worked as an engineer.
All right, as an engineer, if I show up to my office and I fuck up, okay, I don't have a job anymore.
But then he...
Again, this is posturing. More posturing, just like laying things out there for people to like eat up and assume that he has like a level of authority.
Daily uploads while being a CEO 9 to 5 is a pretty busy schedule, as Ethan said. When he was on the Unsubscribed podcast, Mutahar made sure to let everyone know he works 9 to 5 and that he's a very serious businessman.
Legitimately still have a 9 to 5.
Dude, even making the sloppiest of videos doesn't, like, even making the sloppiest of videos, unless again, you're like locked in, takes a good amount of time. If you want, like, even making the most garbage 9 to 10 minute video takes a pretty decent amount of time. You're not going to take less than an hour making a video because you have to research a topic, you have to be interested in the topic, you kind of like have to, you know, ruminate about the topic in the background a little bit to like then give good commentary, and then you have to edit it down. At best, Dumpy's videos take anywhere between like maybe 20 minutes to an hour to make. Somebody who's working a 9 to 5, unless they're like managing their time really well. Somebody with a busy, like, you know, somebody who's in a relationship, is working a 9 to 5, day trading and doing all of these other things. I don't see how they would have the time to, like, you know, be uploading. And Mutahar, keep in mind, Mutahar, just for reference, makes videos that are typically over 20 minutes long at a time and have to be at least relatively well researched so that he can actually give good commentary about it, because of, like, you know, he has to be aware of what's going on, talk about it in the first place. He has to be doing a level of research, then he has to edit it down. There's no way he's doing all of these in like a plain 25-minute sitting. Most of his videos take at least an hour to 2 hours to make. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I have a 9 to 5.
Dude, he works in hours and hours. That's what, like, this is why I respect it. How many subs do you have on YouTube?
I think like 3.4 or 5 million or something. I don't know. I don't know the exact amount.
3.5, like 3.5 million. We'll say that. And you're still doing multiple 9 to 5s where you're running different businesses. You were talking about Q4
I'm the CEO of our own company. Like, I'm the CEO of like our own group. We do a lot of like property and like asset investment around where we live. We're getting into construction and everything too. So it's like for us, like my job is a 9 to 5 every day.
You upload how many videos a week?
A day. Like I upload it every day.
All right.
This is
why
workhorse. Exactly, and why I always.
He really loves bathing in that praise, but it's not enough. He needs to flex more.
Well, that's like the algorithm tell,
what?
right? Like when you're like an engineer and somebody's like, man, why does the algorithm keep feeding me? I'm like, bro, what's the last 10 things you watched? Gay porn? It's probably going to give you the 11 videos. I'm just saying.
Driving there, we were talking about cybersecurity because that's what you went to school for. You're like, homeboy's very smart. That was, you do actually business, and then YouTube is a
YouTube is always
thing.
like the secondary side gig. It's
Then he brags about his charitable donations, and we see behind the curtain how uninformed Mutahar actually is.
like for me, it's like the receipts. If I could tabulate them up every year, you know, like like during COVID, I probably gave away $200,000 of charity. And it was like out of my personal accounts. I don't write any.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Nikandros is really just hitting every fucking thing on the mark on this video. Mutahar always has to pull up, I have this much, I make this much, I do this, and I also donate this much because I'm such a generous, awesome person.
This off for taxes because I don't believe in writing off charity for taxes. I think it's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Writing off charitable donations is a shitty thing to do. How? Why? All that means is that the money you donated is tax exempt. It means you can donate more money to charity, as Brandon Herrera says.
It's a pretty shitty thing to do. Well, for me, it's like
the more money you can write off.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know the implications because he probably doesn't actually donate a lot of money to charity. And he's saying that, and he's probably like just posturing, saying that I think it's a pretty shitty thing to do because it makes it appear in his mind, right? In his ego-driven mind. In his ego-driven mind, trying to like be this incredibly cool, important person. He thinks that if you're donating money exclusively to write it off, it means that you're donating the money just for opportunistic reasons rather than charitable reasons. He doesn't understand like the financial incentives or the financial reasons as to why you really should be writing off your generous donations. But he didn't think that far through. He just wanted to seem cool.
The more money you can keep from the government and spend it better, putting it toward more charity.
The money that I
How can you be the CEO of a company?
And not know about tax exemptions? Yeah. How can you be the CEO of a company and not know tax exemptions? It doesn't make any sense.
Serious businessman who knows his shit, but you don't understand basic accounting.
You want to talk about social battery? Like 7 is when I get up. I got to be in meetings every fucking day. My work day doesn't end until like 4 p.m. That's when I get like a chance to.
All right, so he's giving us more information to work with. Your work day doesn't end until 4 p.m. What about commuting? What about eating? What about like, spending time with your significant other? What about all of these other details? Does this guy really have time? Dude, this guy must be like, as soon as he gets home, he's making a video. Is essentially what this guy's schedule is like. That means this guy must be like, eating, sleeping, and shitting nothing but just work.
Open up.
It just doesn't add up.
The Premiere Pro project file for the video, and I get to work on that, and then I get to upload that a day later. Like, I don't believe in days off. Like, I literally can't believe in a day off. Like, I'm always like jittery.
Again, if he's saying stuff like this guy must, with all of like the chronic illnesses that he has, all of the chronic fatigue, the lack of sleep that he's talked about in his videos, the amount of work that he's doing, the amount of work that he claims to do, plus all of the information, like all of the research and time involved in doing YouTube and maintaining a channel. This guy must have like the most amount of perseverance out of anybody on YouTube, or he's bullshitting.
He has this insane work ethic, but he's also curious about how Destiny can get so many things done.
I noticed that you do like a lot of canvassing, like you actually go out of your way. You've launched your own like podcast with like other people, The Bridges, and it's like,
dude, Nikandros is really just hitting everything here. Every question that you could ask. This guy works this many hours. YouTube is also incredibly time consuming. You have this guy again must be incredibly persistent and have an insane amount of perseverance, right? Or he's lying. Somebody who has that type of like work ethic, that type of workflow where they're literally just working and grinding every single hour of the day, putting in effort to become consistent in every aspect of their lives, especially while they're like constantly fatigued, they wouldn't have to ask this question. They would just know. It would just click. They would not have to ask a question like that.